last presentation, just a quick wrap-up. So before I do that, I will introduce myself. My name is Hadi Quadio from EBU. I'm the lead on video research and development, and I'm a co-organizer of this, let's say, devroom, mainly led by Christophe, and we try to do it every year. I will just try to sum up all the interesting presentation that we had today. So bear with me. If you were here, you can also interject or help if the summary is not to your liking, right? So what did we have this year? So this year we tried to cover several topics. We covered actually frameworks on for multimedia applications. We had UPipe, JStreamer, JPAC presenting. Then we had a nice presentation about codecs on the new codec coming from the Open Media Alliance. Yeah?
Alliance for Open Media, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, you can put it the way you want. But I think it means the same anyway. And then we had, let's say, short presentation about stress testing applications and APIs from Max Moros, yes. And we had a quick review of standards, mainly open standards, but on the audio side and also on the subtitling sides from the colleagues from IRT. Then we covered as well quality control in broad extent with the media info and Cathay Struct, which is another project that we'll look into in a few seconds. And we had a few use cases covered. So 2 use cases, one from Trace TV, not France TV, which was about transcoding, open source transcoding. And we had as well a case from Kaltura, which was more on live streaming based on Nginx and others. So now I will go through. So first of all, we had a quick history, let's say, overview from Kaltura. So for those of you who do not know Kaltura is just, let's say, end-to-end video on-demand platform, and they were just basically telling us that they were in the open source domain since 10 years, and that they took advantage of, the uptake of video, since the introduction of YouTube, to actually establish their framework. And now they're trying to get into the live, let's say, streaming domain, because it's becoming more and more important for broadcasters and not only. So their next actually step is to move from the educational, let's say, or MOOCs type of application that they were providing to more, let's say, content delivery type of services. Then we went to the live, let's say, demo from Jess. So Jess actually showed us how we could quickly, using different open source tool, establish a live streamer based on RTMP. It was a very, let's say, speedy demo from her. She managed to do it quite properly. What she kind of mentioned here was there was a very interesting point about whether you would like to use RTMP or WebRTC, and her advice was first of all to use maybe Nginx as a platform because it was more adapted for RTMP, but you could use actually other solutions if you were more interested in using WebRTC. They went for Nginx because they use Nginx in their environment, so basically in Kaltura Enterprise. So they tend to actually go for Nginx by default. So if you have let's say, a different opinion, you can actually use another tool. But her recommendation for RTMP streaming would be to go for Nginx. Then we had a quick, let's say, presentation on TTML, which is the time text markup language. So it is used for subtitling, and it was presented by Andreas Tai from IRT. The point of this presentation was just to show over the whole production end-to-end media chain, where do we support actually different subtitling standards and formats. So from his point of view as an expert and as the chairman of the EBU group on subtitling, most of the open source tools are, let's say, embracing the subtitling standards. especially the profile IMSC1. I think yeah, that's it. So IMSC1 is the profile that is, let's say, taking, traction at the moment, and another profile of subtitling, which is the SEMTTT, is being dropped basically by the industry. So we may see more and more the IMSC1, let's say, profile coming up in the next years. And if you would like to have more details on the presentation, on the let's say the tools that support the latest profiles for subtitling, you just go through the presentation. You have a list of all the tools there. I tried to capture them here, but I don't think I have all of them there. Third presentation, Trace TV, very interesting use case, taking different building blocks to build a transcoder. The key point of the presentation was that, first of all, the transcoder was built to serve actually the increasing need from the employees in the company to actually transcode content. So not only content, let's say, producers, but also community managers that have to transcode content to, serve their, let's say, web platforms and so forth. And you can correct me if I'm mistaken. But what was interesting in this is that now they have reached actually quite a good maturity level, and they want to share this application. So put it either on a GitHub and improve as well the let's say ability to duplicate this example, this interesting use case. So from what was captured, this use case is based on FFmpeg basically, and a set of other open source tools, Node.js, jQuery, and so forth. So we look forward to receive an email saying now the project is is on GitHub and ready to go and to be deployed in other corporations. JStreamer. So JStreamer, as we said, is one of these pipeline-based multimedia frameworks, and we had another one which was presented, so UPipe. JStreamer is a bit older than UPipe, but UPipe has a bit more traction today. It's actually taking traction. And sorry?
Here's your check. Thank you.
Thank you. No problem. I take it after. Okay. So JStreamer is covering a large spectrum of codecs. There was a bit of confusion on JStreamer, basically saying that JStreamer was either a codec or a transcoder and so forth. JStreamer is more of a framework, and you can use it to deliver different use cases. And it's part of the, let's say, the propaganda campaign to try and remove this confusion. In terms of support, it supports several codecs up to H.265 at least, WebRTC. And what they want to support as next step is SDI over IP. So JStreamer was mainly used for, let's say, non-professional applications. I would say not professional broadcast applications. And that's maybe, from my opinion, the difference between UPipe and JStreamer is that UPipe would be more driven and used by professional broadcasters than JStreamer, even though there are a few use cases where you could find JStreamer in professional broadcast applications. But it is not that well, let's say, introduced in the professional domain. Just trying to go quickly on JPAC. Interesting use case. JPAC mainly tried to present to us how they encoded 360 video. So basically, it was to show their approach in reducing the, let's say, bandwidth or increasing the bandwidth efficiency. So they tried to tile the picture, so the 360 picture you have, and they tried to stream to your mobile phone or to the device you have the tile that you are currently viewing in higher quality. So basically, as you move across the 360 video, you see a refresh of the quality as you go from one view to another, because the view you are actually seeing is streamed at a lower quality and then increased to a better quality. This let's say tiling mechanism is supported by MP4 box. That was actually the main message of the presentation, and you can already trial it. I hope it came across properly during the presentation, but mainly that's it. They were also lobbying for having different, let's say, quality strategies, because you can actually use different tiling models to improve the efficiency of your compression or the bandwidth efficiency. And at the moment, there are no specific recommendation about a specific tiling model. Facebook actually had previously a splicing model that they abandoned. It was called this pyramidal mode, but they do not use it anymore. So we are kind of going toward a convergence. We have a few tiling models which are now available, but we don't have let's say a clear view on which one is the most optimal, basically, for 360 video streaming. So at the moment, MP4 box implements four tiling models. UPipe, as I said, roughly new compared to JStreamer, has some traction, mainly driven for the professional broadcast domain, and really a framework to watch. I'm actually very glad to see that it supports 10-bit, so some very professional format like the V210 there. It's very difficult to find a framework that supports it. And the EBU R128. So these are actually frameworks that could be easily integrated in a professional domain, and it's actually nice to see that there are projects which are delivering these protocols. Media info, very nice presentation, lots of tools. I knew only the media info one, so the metadata extraction tool. And actually the media conformance checker was also introduced, as well as the, let's say, baseband quality control tool, which is the QC tool. I wasn't really sure if it was you that developed the QC tool, so the baseband one. Wasn't really clear.
I am not the project manager.
That's what I think of what I captured, actually. So, but it was interesting to see that from a metadata extraction tool, you extended the, let's say, the set of product that you could provide, from conformance to, let's say, deep bit definitions, and down to actually the baseband quality assessment with different metrics, so PSNR, SSIM, and so forth. And one of the questions that came up was to whether Media Info was interested to broaden the set of metrics that would be supported by the baseband tool, and it was just submitted to future prospect or next steps. Media Info is widely used in the professional domain, and it's a very nice tool. Cat-struct is a parser for files based on the binaries. Mainly the point there was to create a parser that could easily read from a binary file and reduce actually the complexity of, let's say, finding the documentation of different file formats and so forth. Interesting project. There is a workshop that might be organized in the coming weeks. So if you want more information about this project, send a quick tweet to kate_io. AV1 codec, interesting codec from the Open Media Alliance. Yeah, okay. Again, as I said, you can put it the way you want. This Open Media Alliance came up, it's a consortium of big internet companies, Netflix, Amazon, and so forth are in, and it was a bit of a reaction to the licensing issues around HEVC and H.265 mainly. So it's interesting to see that there's a codec coming up. Now, from the presentation, what came out was the issue that they have to create a royalty-free codec, basically. So they have several tools. They have almost 50 assessment tools, 50 coding tools, sorry, which are being assessed to improve the let's say, compression quality of the codec. But one of the issues is to find out whether there are underground IPRs or IPRs on those tools. What was said was that this codec may be released, kind of, at least the bitstream might be frozen in Q4 2017, but there were previously a couple of dates where it was supposed to be frozen and then postponed again. So therefore, there may be there. We may have a new royalty-free codec in Q4 2017, but we'll see. One slightly, off-the-track quote from the presenter was that this codec, AV1, is currently more performant than H.265, which I would like to see. I mean, if it is said, it's really great, and it will be a real challenger if it is royalty-free. So something to look forward to. FOSDEM, presented by Max Moros, basically a platform to stress test your APIs and your project. In a nutshell, they have the OSS fuzz, let's say, fuzzing as a service available. So if you want to, let's say, embrace this new technique of stressing your application and so forth, you are welcome to join the project and access the 6,000 cores they have available to stress test your project. AES 67 and 70, basically it was a presentation on the standards from our colleague, which is still in the room. It was basically showing for the AES 67 that a concatenation of already existing open standards can be used to improve the interoperability for audio over IP transmission. There was one key mention here, since we are in the open source environment, that AES 67 is already supported by the two framework we showed today, except the connection management. So we look forward to see it, supported by your frameworks, if it is possible.
It's out of scope. It's a higher layer. It's negotiation. It's like SIP. It's not relevant.
So if possible, that would be nice. And that's it, roughly, in terms of a summary. What I can tell you is it's always a pleasure to organize these dev rooms, but we need contributors for presentations. So we will be here next year. Again, the same team. If Open Edend and Open Broadcast Systems are, if they accept to be with us.
If FOSDEM accepts that we organize them.
Yeah. FOSDEM accepts, so give us good ratings.
Exactly, give us good ratings. We try to maintain this track because we saw 5 years ago that it was really missing. And as you can see, we tend to have a nice audience. So please contribute, bring new presentations and even ideas for new topics that should be addressed. And see you in 2018 maybe, or in September at IBC for those that go to IBC. Thank you very much.